Hi Patrick again, and this is property number 4. I'm really excited about showing you guys this one because it is one of my favourites and sort of my favourite all-time builds in the layout and the design and the elements we have included in it. And so we're here at Gumdale, just near Brisbane. But I love the entranceway to this building too. It's really quite grand. When I last saw this, it was actually just a large gum tree trunk, I suppose, in the ground, and they've had an artist from Queensland somewhere, I don't know his name, but that's been chainsawed, and we have a big wedge-tail eagle. Coming into the front portage here, we do have a couple of things. These were done by other certified aquascape contractors, Daniel Taylor, Tailored Waterscapes, and Lee Keeland. I really love what Lee's done here in the effect. We've got sort of a pitched wall, which is Lee's specialty, with the water moving out of those rocks, looking like it's coming out of the wall. Really cool. And then we have a bridge. It's almost like a drawbridge almost going across from there to our front door, which again in its own right is a piece of work of art in its own right. Look at that front door. So again, hand carved. And again, this water feature running under the bridge here, using the same stone that we've used out the back. Lee's been very passionate about this project and having it in her space and believing that it's going to be the best thing, as opposed to a swimming pool. She could see it as being a lot more relatable to the architecture that they've put together here and making it a centerpiece for what they've created and their living space and their home. Can't wait to show you. Hello, Lee.
Probably 3 years since we first had our first chats.
Yeah.
So that was before the house had started. So
Yes.
It was all fresh.
Yeah.
And we discussed out the back. And the boys did this just recently, in the last 2 months?
Let's go and check out the other thing.
Okay.
The puddle in the back.
Puddle in the back.
And then out to this, and I've got to say, Lee, that's looking at the best I've ever seen it, really. I'm definitely going for a swim in this one. This is the tree that was always debated whether to leave or not, didn't it? Yeah. I think it makes it as well. If it wasn't there, there'd be something wrong.
My name's Lee Cooper, and you're here because Waterscapes built this amazing pond, recreational pond for us. Everything that I wanted and more. I didn't want a formal featured pool in this type of home, and I didn't want a chlorine or a salt pool. We've been through that, and I just wanted a natural pond, fresh water with the natural filtration, so that it's as clean as it can get. Even at night, I'll come down and sit down here and just listen to the water and just sit here and relax. It was really great having them stay with us because you really got to know what they were like, and we love them. They're great guys. Dan, Lee, Patrick really added to the household for 4 weeks, so it wouldn't have been the same if they'd have gone home.
Yeah, so a little bit of leaf there, but that's sort of that's normal. Oh, look at the fish.
Yep.
And look at the colour of that water. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so we have over here one of the 2 wetlands, don't we? So there's 2 wetlands in this one we've placed in here because it is a large recreation pond, and we wanted to get to at least 30% filtration in this one. So this is quite a big, I think it's 4 by 5. And there's another one up there as well, and this is the typical aquascape wetland. It's about 1.2 metres deep with our matrix and our centipede snorkel and our layers, different layers of carefully graded stone. This is typically the quality of a well-designed recreation pond. You do see right to the bottom. I mean, 2 metres deep there, and you can see individual stones in there. So in the initial stages, yes, there is some algae growth, but as that comes on and with some physical removal, and once the system establishes in the plant life, you can see that plant life in those wetlands so well established now, the system starts to balance and starts to process any nutrients that do occur in it now before algae can even get a chance to establish itself. A little bit of algae is good. It's nice to have a little bit on the stone. It is a food source for fish and for our smaller species in the start of the food chain, really, and it also helps with filtration, but it is that more diatom algae, very low grazable stuff rather than the long stringy thing. We don't have as such a destination stone in this one, although you could almost consider that one over there that. And actually my favourite part of it is a viewing point of that grouping of stone from over there. You can see smaller rock again with those jutting out. And when that was finished, you could almost look at it as being unfinished because it did look like there was something missing. But the only thing missing was actually the plants. I mean, plants do make it, and it's always so important to leave space for plantings in your water features. Don't just fill it up with rock. Don't just feel like you have to put a large rock there to take the space up. Like these stepping stones over here as well. Well, not really stepping stones, it's like a casual bridge across. And here we actually do have, this is like a social area to come, and you can swim into this area between these stones and you can sit actually beneath that waterfall. And we have like seated areas here, and this is all actually cut granite slabs in there. Simple waterfall, again, nothing too contrived away in a way. That's again just 3 stones and maybe with a couple of small ones to make it. Without your obvious framing stone, the actual framing stone is sitting back with that. And I really love how that little configuration has come together there. Every pond we build, there is a thought about the social aspect. So like how people interact, or where they might jump in or get in to do maintenance or hop into it, and how they'll get out of it as well, and how people will use it. So every system, even if they be a simple ecosystem pond, 600 mil deep, it's thought of how quite possibly you get in and out of that safely and carefully. So before we even build, we have that in mind. We have that designed or placed throughout the system. So this is our upper wetland here. As I said, there's 2 wetlands with about a 35% filtration on this one. Now this is front of the main bedroom. So you're looking out here, this is all with quite beautiful lighting in this as well. We have a great mix of plants coming in there and really quite healthy. The brahmi, the lily, spider lily, our elephantias as well. So the majority in here is endemic of the east coast of Australia, as are a lot of the plants in here as well. I mean, a lot of these plants, we have restringias, which is the things that Lee has added to the garden here. A lot of this is made up with natives, which really complement the design. And we have a bottle tree. And it's actually grown a bit, Lee. Yep, that's looking beautiful. That's going to be amazing there, that bottle tree. I mean, that just goes with everything else in the place. It's sort of like, you know, I don't like to call it Australiana, but I like to sort of contemporary Australian. And that's what I feel when I see this property and visit again. And I can see, and that's why that works. The billabong works with the contemporary nature of the house and the landscape and the architecture. Lee has done a hell of a lot here, a remarkable amount of work to bring the landscaping. And I remember actually helping choose some of these ones, the parrot's beak. They're another beautiful Australian native, really nice spreader. They actually do really well in low water conditions, so they can really thrive without too much water and good drainage. So when it comes down to building these, it's the actual contemplating of how each rock goes in and how they work together and how much less is more, I suppose, when they're placed. And that is part of the actual build. So the actual build isn't stifled by saying, no, that rock has to go there because the drawing says it has to. It actually comes about through, as the build progresses, it makes sense for that rock to go there or not to be there, you know. It makes sense for those stepping stones. They always had the elements in mind. I wanted to be able to step across there. I wanted to have this social area, the waterfall there that you could put your head under and sit under, the wetland up there. We also have that launching rock, and then also some formal stairs, so that was always part of it. And the secondary wetland as well was always part of it there. Now this particular system is a negative edge, so all of the water moves out and looks like it's going downstream. Like it's heading down. Actually, you can see down there we have a dam at the bottom of the property, and it could almost look like it's connected to that and continuing down, but it's actually going to a large collection system. This has taken some months. I mean, it's always difficult with sands because they always have some kind of sediment load in them. And this would have still probably a little bit there. Actually, it's pretty damn good. This is a wash silica, so very similar to things like you might find it in Brisbane South Bank, for example. They have the pool systems there with the sand. It's the same sand as that. Now, it takes time for this to develop. It always has a nutrient load, even though it's been 3 times washed, because organisms move into it, and so it starts to move, and you start to get water moving back and forth. You do have a little bit of anaerobic activity under it, but that is actually perfectly sane and healthy and happy. And then we have these plantings starting coming. This is Velicineria, sorry. It's like a form of eelgrass, I think, that one. And that'll start to spread through there, and quite honestly, look at the water quality. You can almost not, look at that. That is spectacular. Truly spectacular, that. Anyway, this was a 4-week build with a team of 3, including plus myself. We had Daniel Taylor, Lee Keeland and Glenn Stewart of Eco Billabongs on this particular project. Anyone thinking of getting one of these, you're probably seeing lots of photos of these fantastic projects, and they weren't just finished. Some of them are just finished on the first day, and that's probably the best sometimes they will ever look, as in when it comes to nothing at all on the rocks. but not when it's come to grow in. But the majority of photos or the pictures or movies you're seeing are finished projects that have had really good maintenance and been looked after. Always a good centerpiece to a property and really beneficial for your surrounding environment. I mean, the birds, the lizards, the insects, the native frogs, all those things that will come and enjoy this as well as yourself. You can't put a price to it really. So a big part of this one was that social area, and you see it, that's quite a large deck. The desire and the reality of what it will be is that Lee can set up a 3-piece band in the back corner there under the tree. The lighting, that tree is actually beautifully lit up as well. It has lighting as well as the whole pond. It looks incredible at night time. Band there, socialising, swimming, enjoying the environment here. And so it was all set up for enjoyment, you know, based on the open concept house down into this social area. It just creates this beautiful movement. So this is our negative edge system where we placed a log across there. So that's just creating that height and that barrier. You can see how that material, the material is getting pulled across down, and actually this is a beautiful little creaky area. You hear the amount of sound and noise and gurgling coming out of that as the rocks come and hit and move around, the water moves around them. But see how this grevillea's come right across and moved over those rocks and moved out onto the water. And it's created, you can't tell there where the water almost begins and the land finishes, you know, it's all just melded beautifully. Now down here we have our negative edge into our reservoir, and we have 8,000 litres of water in here, so lots of aqua blocks. We have our pumping station. As a recreation system we have 6 36-watt pumps running this particular system. I love this space, I mean, and that bridge into it. It just really balances out and gives another destination away from the house. Listen to that echo, can you hear the echo? Amazing. Every time I go and see a project I've done, they always still blow me away. And not because I've done it, it's just like, wow, that's beautiful, you know? Isn't that beautiful? And see how it's working and check how the ecology's working, and they're just a joy to revisit. And so, yeah, sometimes you do pinch yourself, and also just to know that this is what you do for a living. I mean, it is doing work that you love. It's really enjoyable work, and it's really creative work. And I enjoy working with the other guys who have discovered this as well and are also building and enjoying it. You can see the pride and the passion in the work that they do, and working side by side with them, it's really, you know, it's really does make my day, you know, so yeah.